Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty disturbing. It's a type of scam that's more than just theft. It's a really terrifying psychological attack. They call it digital arrest.
That's right. And forget those, basic phishing emails you might be used to. These are far more complex.
Yeah, they're designed to be these immersive deceptions. They trick you into thinking you're genuinely under arrest, all happening through your phone or computer screen. It's quite chilling.
Absolutely chilling.
So our mission today, we're drawing on some recent reports from the Uttar Pradesh Special Task Force, the STF, over in India. We want to unpack how these scams actually work. We'll look at how these, elaborate schemes operate, who they're targeting, and crucially, what's being done to fight back.
And the goal, really, is to give you the knowledge to spot these things, to avoid becoming a victim yourself, because they are incredibly damaging.
Exactly. So to really understand the scale and, frankly, the audacity here, let's start with this recent bust by the STF.
Yeah, this case is quite revealing. And what's really striking, I think, isn't just the amount of money involved, though that's significant. It's the sheer psychological manipulation.
Right.
It's not a quick hit. It's this sustained campaign of fear. They systematically try to break down the victim's ability to think clearly.
And they certainly managed that in this specific case that led to the arrest. Picture this. Dr. B.N. Singh, a resident of Lucknow. His life completely turned upside down by these scammers.
Terrible.
Which led the UPSTF to make these key arrests. They apprehended two individuals, Muhammad Iqbal Balasahib, who's 47, and Shane Iqbal Balasahib, 42. They found them in a flat in Mira Road, Thane, Maharashtra.
And these two were directly linked to defrauding Dr. Singh of, an absolutely staggering amount, 95 lakh.
95 lakh, wow.
Yeah. And when the STF made the arrest, what they found really shows the technical side of this. They seized quite a bit of gear.
Like what sort of things?
Well, 2 laptops, 3 mobile phones, 7 pen drives, 3 hard disks, 6 ATM cards, a couple of Aadhaar cards, and even a small amount of cash, about 450. But importantly, they're doing forensic analysis now on digital wallets and bank transactions. It strongly suggests they think this is just the tip of the iceberg. They're looking for a much bigger network.
Like a serious setup. But, okay, the big question I think many of us have is, how? How do they actually pull this off? Walk us through the steps. How do they trap someone like Dr. Singh?
It's a really insidious process. They start contact usually through WhatsApp calls, sometimes even full video conferences, and they're good at impersonation.
Impersonating who?
High-ranking officials. They'll claim to be from narcotics, the crime branch, sometimes even the CBI, the Central Bureau of Investigation. They invent this whole story, telling the victim they're implicated in some serious crime, and immediately that just triggers immense fear and distress.
So that initial shock is just the hook. How do they keep that control? Sometimes for days, apparently. What are the tactics to force someone to comply?
This is where the digital arrest part really comes in. It's about creating this kind of digital isolation.
Right.
They keep the victim on video calls, often for days on end. They might even tell them to stay in one specific room so they feel constantly watched, totally cut off.
Wow, days.
Yes, days. And they'll escalate. They bring in other fake officials onto the call. They invent urgent deadlines. They threaten terrible consequences if money isn't sent right away.
So it mimics a real interrogation or detention scenario.
Exactly. The victim becomes disoriented, completely dependent on the scammer for information. The scammer becomes their only perceived way out. It's this intense, unbroken pressure that uses exhaustion and isolation to just crush critical thinking. They exploit that natural deference to authority.
It sounds like extortion, but wrapped in this terrifying digital authority blanket. Given how bold this is this just a one-off, or are we seeing signs of something bigger, a more organized threat?
Oh, it's definitely not isolated. If you look at the timing, this recent bust follows another STF crackdown back in April. Back then, they arrested 2 other guys, one in Noida, one in Jhansi, for a very similar scam. In that case, they got 48 lakh out of another doctor.
48 lakh. Still a huge amount.
Huge. And get this, the investigation revealed that some of those scammers had actually received offshore training in Cambodia.
In Cambodia?
Yeah.
For scamming?
Yes. It clearly points to a much wider, highly organized criminal network. They seem to have a repeatable, scalable blueprint for these attacks.
That's deeply concerning. And with an organized network like that, who are they typically going after? Are there specific vulnerabilities they look for?
Well, experts highlight that these digital arrest scams are particularly damaging psychologically, partly because they often zero in on the elderly or people perceived as vulnerable.
Why them specifically?
They might assume these individuals are less familiar with technology, perhaps more trusting of anyone claiming to be an authority figure, or maybe more easily intimidated by high-pressure tactics, especially if they have existing anxieties. They essentially weaponize trust and induce isolation.
It's predatory. Now, you mentioned the tech they seized. Laptops, hard drives. What does the digital forensics likely tell us about how they run these things technically? Any specific tools or methods?
Yeah, absolutely. Forensics would likely uncover things like burner VoIP numbers. They use these to spoof local phone numbers, making the initial call seem legitimate.
Okay.
They'll almost certainly be using VPNs, virtual private networks, to hide their real location, and they might use scripts, maybe even custom ones, to manage victim lists or automate parts of the process.
And the virtual arrest itself, the video call part.
Often they exploit known vulnerabilities in video conferencing platforms or just use basic features to control what the victim sees, preventing them from, say, opening another window to Google something or call someone else for help.
Right, keeping them trapped in that digital space.
Exactly. And then there's the money. Converting funds immediately into cryptocurrency isn't just about moving money fast.
It's about hiding it, right?
Precisely. They use the decentralized nature of crypto ledgers to try and dissolve the money trail. It makes it incredibly difficult for standard law enforcement methods to track and recover the funds.
The sheer scale, financially and psychologically, it's just staggering. You mentioned Pune earlier, just one city. 21 cases between January and May this year alone.
That's right, 21 cases. And the total losses, over 9.21 crore, just in Pune, just in those few months.
Mind-boggling. So, faced with this, what are the authorities actually doing now to push back against these syndicates?
Well, there's a definite push for better coordination. Police forces are working much more closely with the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, that's I4C, and also the various state-level cybercrime units.
So a multi-agency approach.
Yes, trying to connect the dots and dismantle these networks nationally.
And of course, public awareness is key too. We see campaigns from bodies like TRAI, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, and various helplines trying to educate people.
Critical education is a huge part of prevention.
But let's bring it down to the individual level. What can you, listening right now, actually do to protect yourself? What are the experts recommending?
Well, at a systemic level, experts are calling for things like stronger KYC norms, know your customer for banks and telecoms. Also, better oversight from telecom providers and stricter monitoring of banking transactions. These could help flag suspicious activity earlier.
Right, systemic changes are needed. But for personal protection, what's the number one thing to remember?
The absolute core message, the one thing that could stop this nightmare in its tracks for you is this. No legitimate law enforcement agency, anywhere, will conduct an arrest over a video call, ever. Period.
That seems like such a clear rule. No arrests via video call. But, under that kind of intense pressure and fear, it must be easy to forget or second-guess yourself.
It is. Fear clouds judgment.
So, are there maybe more subtle signs? Things in the scammer's language or demands that should set off alarm bells, even if you're panicked?
That's a really good point. Yes, there are other red flags. They will almost always demand immediate payment. Huge pressure to act now.
Urgency.
They'll strongly discourage you from talking to anyone else, especially family, friends, or a lawyer. They want to keep you isolated.
Secrecy. Got it.
And they'll tell you to transfer funds to very specific, often kind of unusual bank accounts, or increasingly, they'll push you to buy and transfer cryptocurrency.
Right.
So if anyone claiming to be police or CBI or any official demands money urgently, tells you to keep it secret, or prevents you from independently verifying who they are, that's your signal. Huge red flag.
And verification means calling the official agency number yourself, right? Not a number they give you.
Absolutely critical. Find the official number on the agency's actual website or through official public listings. Never trust contact details provided by the caller themselves.
It's just chilling, isn't it? How these digital arrest scams exploit our basic trust in authority, using technology to amplify fear.
It really is. It's this disturbing mix of sophisticated tech and, well, very human psychology, our vulnerabilities.
And it leaves you wondering, as these tactics inevitably get more sophisticated, how this blend of tech and manipulation will evolve next. It really underscores why that constant vigilance, that critical thinking, is probably our best, maybe our only, true defense against becoming just another statistic in this ongoing digital fight.
Couldn't agree more. Vigilance is key.